My name is Tom Renacki, and I'm going to give you tips to stop your overbearing mother from sending you to the ER. So, is your ankle broken or is it sprained? These are the scientific tips that you can use to find out. Look at this, that's a lot of muscles, your Achilles tendon, other ligaments holding it together. There could be a lot of stuff that could be bruised and broken. Most of the time it's not broken bone, but I'm going to go over something called the Ottawa ankle rules, which is a proven scientific set of rules how to tell whether you may have a probability of a bone being broken. Your ankle anatomy is made up of 3 bones. So you have your fibula, which is a thin, long bone. You have your tibia, which makes up about 85% of your weight-bearing surface. The fibula is about 15%, but it prevents this bone right here called your talus, right there. So you can see it's separating in the middle right there. That's your talus. Your fibula prevents your talus from sliding out that way. So the tricky thing about ankle fractures is that there's a lot of ligaments, tendons, muscles that could be damaged. So how do you know if you have a broken bone? 98% of the time, if you follow the Ottawa ankle rules, you will not miss an ankle fracture. So if you follow these rules, 98% of the time, you're going to catch all ankle fractures. So that means 2% of the time, these rules are going to screw you over and you won't know that you have an ankle fracture, but you'll probably find out soon enough. But then here's where it gets confusing. There's a 30% chance that they're too sensitive. So what that means is that 30% of the time it's going to tell you that you have a break, whereas you don't really have a break. But it's better to be safe than sorry. So the first thing you want to do is look at your ankle. Is it clearly messed up? So there's a couple pictures right here. I'm going to show you an ankle joint that's clearly messed up. This is probably a broken ankle. There's black bruising, there's swelling, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. That should be rule number 1, is if your ankle is really messed up, it's probably broken. Number 2, if nothing's really out of place, then there's a decent chance that you at least don't have a displaced fracture. So that's kind of the first rule of order, is how messed up is your ankle? How bad does it look? Is it black and bruised and destroyed? Then there's a good chance that you might have a really messed up ankle. But getting into the Ottawa ankle rules, here's how these came about. This was a way in Canadian healthcare to basically see whether you needed an x-ray or not to determine whether it was broken. So the first thing we do is we take this bone called your fibula right here. So you palpate along the fibula right here. So if the bone is really hurting, that means get into the hospital and see your podiatrist. Number 2 is your fibula, your 5th metatarsal hurting right here. So as you palpate along this 5th metatarsal along the outside right here, is that hurting? If that's hurting, go see your foot and ankle specialist. So that's part 1. That's the outside of your foot. Now we flip the ankle around. So we look at the bones here, your medial malleolus and your tibia. As you press on it, does it feel painful? If that feels painful, that means get in to see your foot specialist. Then your talus, as you press it along here, and your navicular, as you press it here, are these painful? If these are painful, go see your foot specialist. So just to re-summarize, on the outside, you want to touch the bone right here. On the outside, you want to touch this bone right here. That's your 5th metatarsal, and that's your fibula. And on the inside, you want to touch your medial malleolus and your talus and your navicular. If you can touch these bones and they really hurt, 90% of the time, you're going to catch your ankle fracture. If you're pushing those bones and it's not, then there's a good chance that you're okay. It's not the bone, because there's a lot of tendons and muscles around there, a lot of bruising. It's all about the bones to see if it's broken. So there you go. That's how you know whether your ankle joint is just broken or sprained. So this rule, 98% of the time, will confirm a broken ankle, and you'll only be oversensitive 30% of the time. So that comes down to a fancy term called sensitivity and specificity. But the bottom line, this is the scientific proven way to tell if your ankle is broken. So just to summarize, if it looks really messed up and deformed, it's probably broken. But number 2, use the Ottawa ankle rules. So palpate the outside of your bones, focus on the bones, or palpate on the inside of your bones. That's the best single way to tell if your ankle is broken or sprained, and that's using science.